Hey friends, it's me, Micah. This is the Homestead Bandwagon. Today I've got some PEX pipe. I want to reuse some of these fittings. So we're going to go through a couple ways to use different tools to remove just about every kind of PEX fitting and reuse them. Here we go. So you may have noticed up in the corner there was a little sponsored link. What's going on here is I had originally bought this tool. This is a clamp installation and removal tool, like a 2-in-1 tool. Really liked it, did a review on it. And then this iCrimp company reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to review more of our stuff? I'm like, yeah, sure, send me more stuff. So that's what's going on here is we're just going to go over these different tools they make for removing different PEX clamps and crimps and expansion rings and press to fit fittings, and just some different options here so we can reuse these fittings, because these fittings aren't cheap. Okay, so we've got a press to fit fitting with some PEX A and PEX B on it. They're interchangeable. I did a video on that. I'll try to put a link in the description for you. But yep, so we've got a press to fit fitting. Now these are reusable fittings. You gotta be a little careful, but they're reusable, because there's some plastic involved and stuff. You know, the most traditional way of removing them is with one of these little rings here that you snap over and you compress the fitting. So we see the plastic compressing there, and then pull the pipe out. It's not terrible. Not the most fun in confined spaces. And if your pinchers don't work too good, you know, might be a problem. But not the most terrible thing you've ever done, if you can get a grip all the way around the pipe, which, you know, sometimes you can't, okay? So that's I would say it's a traditional way to remove those. Okay, so iCrimp makes this tool, which kind of combines this deburring and depth gauge tool that you're supposed to use when you're using these press to fit fittings, and this release ring. So it just kind of builds them into each other. And you know, it works all right. For like a 2-in-1 tool, it's not too bad. So you kind of squeeze it to like release the plastic. Not too bad. It's about the same effort as using one of these. So I like this thing though, it's all in one. You can just, you know, tie a lanyard to it and keep it on your tool bag if you have a plumbing tool bag, if you're a weirdo like me. The tool they make though that I really like is this one. So this is a fitting remover, and it's got a pipe side and a fitting side. So basically you just clamp this sucker on here and pull your pipe out. Really easy, and you don't have to be pinchy, and you can just grab these big grips. So I really like this tool. It does a really good job of compressing this plastic, and it seems like it doesn't mar the plastic up too bad, which can be a problem. So the plastic is unmarred. And this is the thing, when you're reusing these, I've reused this one a couple times. If you're using it with copper, to my understanding, it has to retain this white piece of plastic. Sometimes it'll come out and be on the end of this pipe, and once it does, you're kind of toast, to my understanding, for using this with copper. You could reuse it with PEX, from what I've heard, and it'll maintain a seal, from what I've heard. But if that little white piece comes out, you're not supposed to reuse it with copper. So just something to think about. But yep, so that's a way to remove these press to fit fittings. So this is one that I had purchased. This is one that I had purchased originally. So this is like a 2-in-1 tool. It'll both crimp these, or clamp them. I don't remember if they're called clamp rings or crimp rings. It doesn't matter. It says clamp tool. So these must be clamp tool rings. So you can clamp them, but also then cut them off. So setting 1 is your clamper. So it'll clamp them, and then it'll cut them off too. So let's get it in the vise to show you that. So this one, you flip it from setting 1 over to setting 2. And now it's gone from crimping to cutting. So I mean, that's really easy. So now this is cut off, we can remove the pipe. So this tool is pretty interesting. This is like a 3 or 4-in-1 tool. So it's got an anvil and a cutter and then a breaker here. So you can cut brass crimp rings. You can cut the clamp rings, and you can kind of use it to cut the PEX pipe off as well. So this thing's really neat to have in your toolbox, having three functions, and it's also set up where you can, over time as you use it, you can also calibrate it. So really interesting tool. Okay, so this one you get on setting C for cut, I guess. It takes a little more work than the other one, and you got to kind of angle it if you're butting up against another pipe. But they split these crimp rings right down the middle. So sometimes you got to take a couple bites on them. Not quite as easy as the other tool, but certainly not bad at all. So that's cut off, no big deal. But what's cool about this one is we can change the setting, and now we can take off these brass rings. These brass rings can be removed as well. Flip it, pop this over to A. Sometimes you gotta kind of wiggle it around because it's changing the width of the jaws. There we go, we're into A. Lock it in. Let's get this where we can get to it. So it's got a little anvil that's kind of rounded so it matches the interior of the pipe, which is nice. And basically just break it, flip it, butterfly it out, and you're all done. So that clamp is off. Now you can use this cutter as well to cut the PEX off. It works okay. I use it on setting A to do that as well. A, I'll tell you, this is for 1/2 inch, but we can do it. So we just get it in there and kind of do the same thing, just crunch at this pipe. And basically what it's done is if you hit it from a couple angles, it loosens this pipe up enough that you can just take it off. So you're not really cutting this pipe off, you're just loosening it up with these jaws to remove it. So this tool is pretty cool. This is an expansion ring cutter, but you can also use it to cut PEX pipe. So a really useful tool. Why would you ever have to remove PEX A? You're a professional. Well, maybe you kind of messed up a little bit and didn't get your ring stretched out enough. Let's get that fixed. This one's probably my favorite out of all of them. I mean, it just cuts through the stuff so smooth. You don't have to go and use a razor blade or something and risk cutting yourself open in your crawl space when nobody's home and your cell phone's dead. But that would never happen, right? And this does have a little this does have a little prying edge on it, so you could throw it in here and pry that off. And they've already kind of pre-cut this. We'll give it a little bit more choppy here. And what is cool is these blades, they give you some extras. So I really like this tool, for taking off PEX A stuff. I don't know, just seems like a great way to do it, really, without, risking life and limb. Look at that. That was off easy. And that one's off easy too. Yeah, this can completely be reused. And these PEX A stuff, really expensive. So being able to reuse these fittings, That is nice. This thing is in good shape, ready to be reused.